So M11 brings Emmy before the illustrious Chuck Wilson, where he asks if the Japanese have any plans of opposing his rule. She says no, but he sees right through her, saying that he believes Japan will attempt to revive Godzilla by nuking the dinosaur. Nothing gets past Chuck Wilson, Lord of the Seven Kingdoms, wielder of dragons, king of the Andals and the First Men. Alright, I'll stop. The very next scene, Emmy is performing maintenance on M11. Don't know why Lord Chuck would allow this if he were suspicious of her, but okay. You see, we know she has expertise in the sophisticated mechanics that power a futuristic android because she has a collection of tiny toy robots in her room. Yes, apparently she attended the Rock'em Sock'em Institute of Technology. She takes out M11's control circuits and swaps them with her own. You see, she took out the bad red ones and put in the good green ones, so now he's a good guy. Following along, kids? Now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Shindo's nuclear submarine approaches the area where they left the dinosaur, but instead they find, Godzilla, who destroys the sub and consumes its radiation. Finally, over an hour in, and we finally see Godzilla. It's cause for celebration, but at the same time, you know me. I've got a question. So, when M11 grabbed Emmy, she was with Terasawa, who was on his way to tell Shindo they don't need the sub. So, after M11 left with Emmy, did Terasawa just completely forget what he was doing and go home? Clearly Shindo didn't get the message to not send the sub. Apparently all the men aboard died because this dumbass was too lazy to pick up a phone. In fact, every other character aware of Godzilla's existence decided not to pick up a phone either. At this point, I'm rooting for Chuck Wilson because apparently everyone in Japan is a witless dullard. Hail Chuck! Moving forward, M11 shows up at Terasawa's place for a booty call. Oh, I'm kidding, but what is with the constant bedroom eyes coming off this robot? I don't know what's more unsettling, a Terminator that's cold and unfeeling, or an android that's warm and throbbing. M11 sneaks Terasawa aboard the ship and meets up with Emmy, where they plan to sabotage Chuck Wilson's diabolical plan. It's odd they can stage this mutiny from within the ship undetected, but this movie's already so dumb in so many other ways that it feels of a piece. Speaking of pieces, we cut to the Bering Sea where Godzilla finally emerges in earnest, accompanied with some whimsical harp music. Honestly, I don't get the choice, but I do like it. It's almost like you've been dying to see Godzilla the whole movie, so when you finally see him, it feels like a miracle, an oasis in this desert of drivel. Props where props are due, though. Bro's looking tankier than his last appearance. Apparently, they jacked up the suit for this film so he'd look more muscular and imposing.
Thank you for noticing.
Meanwhile, in the skies above Japan, the military has sent their best stock footage to attack Ghidorah. I'll admit, it's a fun scene with a memorable soundtrack, and the airplane models look great, but Ghidorah just comes off as a little stiff. As the Futurians gloat about the victory within their grasp, a new signature appears on the monitor. Oh yeah, it's your boy. Time to boot up the Heisei war room, gents. We got ourselves a fight in our hands. It's a good bit of fun. Finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Godzilla versus King Ghidorah. Smartly, they lead with their ranged weapons first, with both sides tanking the other's attack. Then Ghidorah takes to the skies and sends a volley of lightning Godzilla's way. Let me tell you, if you like close-up shots of explosions, this is the fight for you. Eventually, Ghidorah swoops in and rams Godzilla to the ground, except suddenly there's a huge trench that Godzilla's trapped in. No idea where that came from. Of course, this is here to set up one of the staple moves of the series, where one monster repeatedly jumps on the other, the infamous pain trampoline. All the human characters are watching the movie on their respective screens, and it seems Godzilla is done for. Seems a little early for the vulnerable hero moment, but we know we've got more fight to come. But that'll have to wait, because Emmy and Terasawa put their plan into effect. They set explosives on the computers controlling Ghidorah and detonate them, but not before ripping off yet another film.
Make my day.
You know, had you developed these characters, you could have had Terasawa say a good line that's relevant to this film instead of relying on other films for ideas. Even something like, "This is for Japan," would feel a lot more natural. I mean, had you established he liked Hollywood films or something, that would also cover this. Basically, when you write a character. Regardless, Ghidorah's fucked. With the computer destroyed, he's absolutely crippled and completely at Godzilla's mercy. Meanwhile, on board the ship, our heroes assault the control room. M11 even has a little charming moment.
Here I am!
Terasawa and Emmy then confront the Futurian leaders, and Chuck Wilson gives a pretty neat bad guy speech. saying that Godzilla will finish the job for them.
復活をさせたゴジラによって20世紀の日本は
You who pray at the altar of nukes. Sounds like a pretty sick altar. Also, it's revealed the Futurians have an automatic failsafe that will return the mothership to the 23rd century in 15 minutes. In a rage, Emmy dares to attack the indomitable Chuck Wilson, as Terasawa fails to nutshot an android despite holding a gun. However, M11 appears and kills both androids with a mild push. Then Emmy and Terasawa gang up on Chuck Wilson like the end of Death Proof. Speaking of getting laid into, outside, Ghidorah's not faring much better. However, he manages to get Godzilla in a chokehold and literally starts strangling the life out of him. Seeing Godzilla foaming at the mouth always stuck out to me. Of course, though, Godzilla summons a new ability out of nowhere to save himself and pulses out of the hold. He then follows up with a beam to his center head and pops that sucker right off. Now we get a shot here where we see Ghidorah's golden scales raining down from his severed head, but initially they wanted to use blood. Really would have loved to have seen that. As all this is happening, our heroes escape the mothership in kids. Unwilling to allow the Futurians to escape and with only minutes to spare, they teleport the mothership directly in front of Godzilla, who, knowing nothing of the situation, instantly destroys it. Looks like time's up for the villainous Chuck Wilson. This also spells the end for Ghidorah, who is
Attempting to flee.
when Godzilla delivers a final beam, sending him crashing into the sea. You know, this whole series of events feels rather familiar. Godzilla stands victorious, and of course, begins making his way to Tokyo for a victory smash. The military begins dispatching their forces to stop Godzilla in his path of destruction, including the deployment of some maser tanks. God, don't you just love maser tanks? They look so dope, and their bright beams are candy for the eyes. And look at Godzilla's demonic eyes in this shot. This is the shit I've been waiting for. And as expected, he has to take out a landmark as well. However, unexpectedly, Godzilla then performs a pratfall into the subway system like DiCaprio falling in the pool. Did Scorsese rip off Godzilla? What a hack! Honestly, I'd completely forgotten about this moment, and it was an unexpected delight to see. Expect to see this clip used in future videos. Oh, it's a gem. Seriously, shout out to the suit actors as well. This suit weighs 200 pounds, so that fall must have been something brutal to endure. Now, the military takes advantage of this blunder to start doming Godzilla. But you know our boy. Hit him, and he hits back twice as hard. Seeing the severity of the situation, a plan is formed. Ready? They want to revive King Ghidorah. I'm not shitting you. Just to be clear, they erased Godzilla, but Ghidorah was created. In order to fight Ghidorah, they brought back Godzilla. Godzilla defeated Ghidorah, so now they want to bring back Ghidorah. Anyone else seen a pattern? Boys, who's running the circus? Where's the anti-nuclear energy bacteria? You know, the stuff that could put him out of commission for 200 fucking years? See, a non-idiot might think to dose him up again, and then once he's comatose, teleport him into space or something. Oh wait, then he might just become Space Godzilla or something. Okay, well, how about sending him to the deepest depths of the ocean, a la -1. Let the pressure get to him. But we all know the movie's title, and that first fight was like 5 minutes long, so Ghidorah it is. Now the plan is for Emmy and M11 to travel back to 1912 to the mid-Atlantic, board the Titanic and steal the blue heart of the ocean jewel, then let magic do the rest. Okay, I'm kidding. Just seeing if you're paying attention. The plan is for Emmy and M11 to revive Ghidorah in the 23rd century using their technology, modify him, and come back to the 20th century to fight Godzilla. Well, I guess that means we're going Back to the Future, Part 2. Which brings us back to the beginning of the movie. Oh no, not again! Now listen to this. As it turns out, that husk we saw in the beginning of the film was still alive. For 200 years at the bottom of the ocean, Ghidorah remained headless and clinging to life. Not gonna lie, chat, I actually feel bad for the guy. Let's take a second to go over Ghidorah's story in this film. Ghidorah began his existence as a trio of genetically engineered pets, meant to serve as empathic companions to human beings. They were made purely for love and companionship. These 3 pets were then abandoned on an island for 10 years. Inevitably, they had an atomic bomb dropped on them, and were fused together,
Quite painfully.
mutating into a massive, horrifying monster. Then, he was forced into servitude, killing the beings he was engineered to love. The shackles were then broken,
Quite painfully.
allowing him to regain his agency, but in the middle of a fight with a roided-up Godzilla. He tried his best to defend himself, but still got his head blown off. In his mangled state, he then
Attempted to flee.
and was shot down, plummeting like Icarus in a cloud of his own golden scales. He then drifted to the bottom of a cold, dark abyss to spend the next 2 centuries unable to live or die. I gotta say, people, I genuinely sympathize with Ghidorah in this film. His story is an Attack on Titan level of tragedy. Who could have guessed the character that I'm most invested in this movie would be King Ghidorah?
Thanks for everything, all those special things, the stolen moments shared when we were unprepared for anything.